This podcast is scheduled for one fall.
Whoa, who let you out of the basement? Let me do this. This podcast is scheduled for one fall, and I'm still not reading any of this other crap you wrote, so just click your buttons and start the show.
Hello, people, and thank you for joining us today on the Gimmick Table.
There's a war on your minds!
All right, everybody, and I'm your host, Matt. This fellow wearing the tinfoil hat, he's the Alex Jones to my Anderson Cooper. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Bats.
We're coming for you, globalists!
Oh, boy. This is still a wrestling podcast. We have not started any affiliation with InfoWars. And momentarily, guys, we are going to be joined by our guest, the Pale Horse, Josey Quinn. But before we do, I want to share a little gem of the internet that I stumbled upon with everybody, and that's the Savage Stash.
What is the Savage Stash?
The Savage Stash, first of all, let me just make this perfectly clear. The word stash doesn't do it justice. This is more or less a treasure chest for wrestling fans because you got great vintage and original wrestling merchandise.
Ooh.
This is authentic old school t-shirts, old school hats. Some are signed. You're going to pay the money for it, but it's going to be worth the money that you're going to pay. I recommend that everybody goes and checks it out. It's thesavagestash.com, and you can hook yourself up with some really cool, authentic, vintage wrestling merchandise. And you can't forget the fact that they are the fanny pack kings.
Fanny packs were cool.
They still are cool. I don't understand what your issue is with them, but whatever. Let's just jump in today's interview. All right, everybody. Please join us in welcoming to the Gimmick Table. He is the Pale Horse, Josey Quinn. How goes it today?
It's going well, guys. How y'all doing?
Doing pretty well. So glad to finally get you on the show. I know we had talked back in December, and here we are, beginning of March, finally getting the opportunity. We know you guys are busy out there doing good things, but how are things going down in Georgia?
The Georgia scene's really picking up, man. There's a lot of great shows really starting out. Georgia Premier and Anarchy, and they're doing their things again with NCW splitting the building up there, the Landmark Arena, where home of AJ Styles, they like to call it. So pretty much the whole state's firing on all cylinders right now, man.
With us being from New York and everything, can you kind of just give us a little insight into what that wrestling scene is all about down there?
Yeah, you really have like a split crowd. Normally you have a lot of the towns that are really into the more what you would consider the new school style, and a lot of shows are really, they favor towards that audience. And then you have some of the guys, I don't like the term old school, I use the term traditional, but those crowds, both sides are really hot, so you kind of end up having that split and variety, and a lot of shows are starting to, you're starting to see that on more shows where you're seeing a lot of the traditional style matches and some of the new school style matches. So it's really just, it's causing a lot of interest in the area down here.
And I do know that, especially down south, that old school wrestling is very big. How has the reception been to a lot of the newer styles of wrestling?
I would say that the newer style is actually starting to catch on a lot more than you would think. A lot of the more high flying moves and stuff like that are starting to work their way in, and crowds are starting to be a lot more responsive to it than what they used to be.
And that's good. And I think one thing you will notice is that you can take somebody who's kind of from that new school and somebody who's from that old school, put them in a ring together, and if they're good and they can mesh even with the variances in their style, they can put on an excellent match and tell a great story.
Yeah, and I'm definitely all about that, especially with down here at One Fall Power Factory, the school that I'm affiliated with. Mentors, my biggest mentor being QT Marshall, which I can't talk anything bad about that guy. I mean, he is just a wonderful brain to pick at all times. And but with him, you've got a lot of the more new school style and stuff like that he knows. But really, with that said, I mean, all the stuff that his work with Ring of Honor and stuff like that, we've been able to adapt to that kind of style. But then we also have our mentor, Lloyd, also known as Glacier. They can really provide that traditional foundation for us. So we're always able to look back at where everything started and see how it's kind of evolved over the years. And I think that's really helping a lot of the guys that are starting to come into the One Fall School. You're getting to see that evolution of where the style started and where it's going now. And I think that's going to help a lot of guys, like you said earlier, really be able to match up against anybody on the indie scene. I think it's going to create a lot of great matches.
Definitely. And one thing we talk about a lot is that, especially independent wrestling, it's on the upswing. And depending on where you are, whether it's the Pacific Northwest, New York, down south, there's so many different styles that sometimes it can be hard to get, a taste for them. And you're lucky, that you get the opportunity to not only see the traditional but the new school. So that's definitely awesome that you're exposed to more than probably most are able to be.
Yeah, I really like, you get that old school storytelling with like that really high impact,
Yes.
Exchanging of blows and, some of what they would consider, the high risk spots that you see that now. But you put that with some old school storytelling, man, and I mean, it makes for some exciting matches.
It definitely does, and I think we're fortunate in this day and age to have the opportunity, the technology to see all the wrestling, whether it's here in the States and over in Britain, Japan as well, Canada. We're blessed as fans, I really think, and nowadays I think this is the best time wrestling has ever had.
I couldn't agree more. I think that more the merrier, really, man. And I mean, just you're seeing it everywhere right now, and it's great to see wrestling be on such a an international level. Like going from the old days of like tape trading to what it is now, you can just type in anything and catch a great show pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Now, when did it all begin for you? When did you become a fan of professional wrestling?
I was a fan of professional wrestling probably around the age of 8 years old. I'd say somewhere around there. I remember my uncle just kind of flipping through the channels, and I seen two guys fighting, and I was like, wait, what was that? And he goes back to it, and it was actually Ric Flair and Sting. And I was just like, wow, what is this? And I've been hooked ever since.
Well, you definitely turned the television back to the channel at the right time. I mean, that's a great way to start your exposure to wrestling, is with two of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, I remember being really mad because, of course, I naturally was like, look at this Sting guy, man, with all that. This is back when he had the little flat top and, the face paint and all that good stuff. And then I remember Flair actually putting his feet up on the ropes to get the win. And I remember being like, seriously? Like, how did you not see that, even at that young age? I was like, you got to be kidding me.
You see, you were sold right from the beginning. You were mad.
I was instantly hooked.
That's awesome. And who were some of the guys? Obviously, you had Sting and Flair, but who were some of the guys that you felt you had a connection with early on and throughout your time as a fan?
Oh, man, easily number one is Diamond Dallas Page for me, right from the get-go. I remember when he was coming out, and he had, like, the diamond dolls, and, I mean, he had the cigar, the glasses. That was the guy I wanted to be. And being in Gainesville, Georgia, that's where I'm from, they used to do the Saturday night tapings down here at a place called the Georgia Mountain Center. It's not there anymore. But I was able to go to those and see basically all the big stars come through there. But I got the opportunity to go outside and kind of see him come in, and I actually got to meet Diamond Dallas Page, and he took the time to actually take some pictures with me and even put me in the diamond cutter for a picture and everything. And just that interaction alone just made him my favorite, and he still is today.
Oh yeah, I mentioned to you earlier he's one of my favorites. Being from New York, and how I was introduced to wrestling, it was a lot of WWE, WWF at the time, and I wasn't introduced to WCW till later on. NWO was big, Attitude Era, all that stuff, but Diamond Dallas Page was always somebody who stuck out for me. I liked him more than the NWO, and I think he was probably one of the greatest that they ever had over there.
Oh, definitely. I don't think, he was like the only true WCW guy by the end of it, him and, Sting, but even then, DDP never really crossed that line over to the NWO. He had his heel run and stuff like that, but he never really was an NWO member. So I think Booker T may have been one too, where he never joined.
Yeah, I think him, Sting, Sting was in the Wolfpack, but him and DDP, yeah.
Yeah, the red and black.
Yeah, but he was still always a little bit WCW no matter what.
Yeah, maybe a little more of an anti-hero. You can never really get into a heel Sting, I don't think anybody wanted one.
No, I don't think we ever did. Well, he was originally supposed to be the guy that was going to turn instead of Hogan, they say.
Yeah, I remember hearing that too. I remember them also saying that at one time it could have been Bret Hart. And I was like, well, that'd have been interesting.
Yeah, there's so many different ways. It's just crazy to think now, if they had gone a different way, would it have worked? What were those three the perfect mixture for that to work? Or would it have worked better with somebody like Sting or Bret Hart?
I don't know, man. I don't think anybody could have done what Hogan did. Personally, I don't know. I think it was so shocking for Hogan to do it that all of a sudden everyone's just like, wow. And then Hogan just really embraced that role, because I remember wanting to play air guitar on my spray painted, little replica as well.
I agree with you on that, only because Hulk Hogan is still Hulk Hogan. Like to this day, if you follow him on Twitter or whatever, he is still the same guy. He has always been that guy.
Yeah, man, he's the guy. Like, if Hogan's on, I'm gonna watch.
You can probably consider it the slowest burning heel turn of all time. It took decades. It took decades to happen.
I would agree. I definitely would agree.
Now, another thing I want to mention to DDP, and anybody who's listening out there that can do like those Randy Orton videos where he's doing the RKOs, I would really like to see a couple of those with the diamond cutter. Like taking down a plane, taking down a building, the Incredible Hall.
That would be awesome. I would love for someone to do that. And if they do, definitely like tag us in it or something.
Yes, please.
I mean, honestly, how many high-def videos of DDP doing diamond cutters are there, though?
Man, I mean, it's hard to really find anywhere like, I mean, Orton's got it wrapped up with the out of nowhere, but come on, man. Paige was the original out of nowhere.
And I prefer the diamond cutter over the RKO. I'll just say I've argued.
Oh, it's a way better name, too.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
We could argue that all day. I've argued with people.
I mean, there's just no argument.
Well, yeah,
like,
I think, well, the three of us.
unless you're a hardcore Randy Orton fan, I don't think there's an argument there.
Or if you're Randy Orton, and if I'm arguing with Randy Orton over it, I think I'm going to get RKO'd and lose the argument.
Yeah, exactly.
So anybody else out there besides DDP that you really felt you had a connection with that really helped push you towards this, path to professional wrestling?
Yeah, besides that, of course, the Macho Man. I mean, just the flair, the glitz, the glamour, all that stuff, man. Just definitely Macho Man. Anything he ever did, I was instantly glued to the screen for him. I think it might have just been the voice. I don't know. It wasn't because, he was selling Slim Jims.
I actually, my birthday just passed, and one of my employees, she decided to make a mock wrestling ring around my desk. And each of them had a flag on the end. There was 3 flags because it's only a little cubicle. So one flag is Kenny Omega, one is Macho Man, third one is Junkyard Dog. So I look at it and I go, okay, somebody told you Kenny Omega's my favorite. Everybody knows I love the Macho Man. I go, but how the heck did Junkyard Dog get on this flag? She goes, well, that's my favorite wrestler. I go, okay, all right, I can respect that. So that was cool. She's an older lady talking to her about Junkyard Dog. Then Human Resources came over and noticed the picture of Junkyard Dog didn't have a shirt on, and they found that to be inappropriate. So I had her cut out yes. I had them cut out a picture, I had them cut out a T-shirt out of paper, and I taped it to Junkyard Dog's physique.
I would personally think that's the best way to please Human Resources right there. It's like, I'll just clothe him. But he's not coming down. I'm sorry, Junkyard Dog's over.
Yeah, he's
you said the problem was the clothes, so
yeah. So I closed, and they were perfectly fine. They just said cover it, so I was like, okay.
What kind of shirt? Like a little polo, or like did it have like a little, the Junkyard Dog logo on it or whatever?
No logo, just a white piece of paper, cut it out, plain white T-shirt for the Junkyard Dog, and it actually didn't fit him because his muscles were still protruding from the shirt.
Oh, you need to rip the paper a little so it looks like it ripped through the shirt.
But I figured as long as Junkyard Dog's nipples were covered, we were perfectly fine.
That's the real problem. That's always the problem. It's the nipple.
It's always the nipple.
Yeah. You probably should have tried to get away with some pasties or something.
Or you could have just put like little hole punches over it.
Just censor it out.
Yeah, I'm lazy. I would have just grabbed a sticky note, like a Post-it note, and put it over it. I'm like, hey, look, it's blocked out.
I didn't want to disrespect the Junkyard Dog with just a Post-it note. I wanted to give him an actual T-shirt.
Definitely. I like the T-shirt idea.
I've been told I talk about wrestling too much at work, so actually my employee survey, they responded back, our manager talks too much about wrestling. I use the Macho Man as an inspirational, too. I've actually, put a picture of him, and I told this before in an episode, I put the picture of him holding the cream and saying cream of the crop, It's like, it's motivational. I want you guys to be the cream of the crop.
Gotta rise to the top.
And then when we had site visitors, my boss comes to me, can we take down all the pictures of Macho Man? I was like, fine.
I think it's going to be a problem to take all those down. Really going to kill morale around here.
Yeah, we actually talked about that. I was supposed to go into work the next day and talk like Macho Man and flex all day. I forgot. I probably would have strained something. All right, so back on topic here. But when's that moment, kind of talking about that, you fall in love with wrestling, you become a fan, but when's that moment it becomes apparent to you that you want to be a pro wrestler?
Well, I definitely wanted to growing up. But then, I come from a very hardworking family, so I was pushed to get a job, do that kind of thing, try to go to college and stuff like that. But it wasn't until much later. I was about 25, And I have my oldest son, Dryston. He was 5 at the time, and I was trying to bond with him a little more, and I wanted to introduce him to professional wrestling, and I hadn't watched it in a few years. So I was like, oh, wow, there's this independent show coming up. I saw a flyer at a gas station. I was like, I'm going to take him. So we went, and, of course, we had a blast, man. It was just a bunch of independent guys, and it was a great show. But when we were leaving, he was like, oh, man, I want to be a wrestler. And I was like, I remember I wanted to be a wrestler, too. And he's like, oh, yeah? Well, how come you're not a wrestler? And right then I was like, wow, I don't know why I'm not. So I started shopping around, trying to find schools. And, so that's really what led to it, was him asking me that question of why didn't you do it? And I was like, okay, a 5-year-old just asked me why I didn't chase my dream. I can't honestly look at him and tell him, well, I just didn't because I didn't think I could do it. I couldn't tell him that. So I decided to start pursuing it.
That's awesome because, you obviously don't want your kid not to ever be, well, I can't do my dream. You want your kid to be like, I can do anything that I put my mind to. And he kind of stumped you there because you didn't have an answer for him that was logical. So you did, okay, I got to do this now. That's awesome. That's
exactly how it worked. Yeah, man. And actually, this past February, on Valentine's Day, the NXT episode that aired on Valentine's Day, I actually appeared on it. So it was a really surreal moment to actually sit down with my kids on TV and be like, hey, you need to watch this upcoming match. And then I was on it. So it was a really surreal moment to share with him.
All right. Well, I know what I'm actually doing after we wrap up the episode here because I'm a little behind on my NXT, but that actually happens to be my birthday as well, so that's even cooler. That's awesome, man.
How about that? That is awesome.
This podcast episode was meant to happen. It was fate.
Yeah, that's awesome. Would you like to know what Matt's favorite part about his birthday is?
Oh boy.
It's that it's on Valentine's. It's on Valentine's Day, and he doesn't have to do anything for his girlfriend because it's his birthday.
That is awesome.
However, I still do get her a gift, all right? And
That's good, yeah.
I've always told her that we have the option of celebrating Valentine's Day on the 13th.
But it'll always... Yeah, I mean, that's...
Compromise.
Just do it like the day after so everything's like half price. Get all the good stuff.
Yeah, you should do the 15th for sure.
I felt like doing it on the 13th made me less of a cheapskate.
That's fair, too. That's a good way to look at it, but I'd have definitely took the cheap route.
Yeah, she probably wouldn't have.
Yeah, then you've already gotten your birthday, too.
Yeah. I technically haven't got my birthday present yet because I haven't told her what I wanted. I'm bad at this.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, it's not her fault because she knows if I want something, I'll tell her about it, and 2 days later, I'll have it.
There you go.
So...
Amazon.
Yep. Thank you, Amazon. Amazon Prime. Not paying me for this.
There you go.
Like we said, your kid kind of stumps you into why you're not living your dreams. So how do you find a place to train? Because we've noticed talking to people that's not always the easiest thing to do is to find a reputable school to go to. It's
really not, and that's actually I would say was the hardest part of finding the right path to follow in wrestling. Because I mean, everybody's got a different story and a path that they've taken. And I mean, in professional wrestling, we know that there's no blueprint for being successful. There's guidelines, but even then, they don't really work for you. So I ended up finding a small promotion in Cornelia. I started there, and it was good as an introductory level. But really quickly, I realized that I wanted more out of professional wrestling. And it led me to the Landmark Arena. They actually run a school there, and I started training there, and I really started getting a grasp of, being able to work in the ring and get my psychology up. And again, I was like, man, I still want to get better. I want to find the best for myself. So I started looking around for schools in my local areas and stuff like that, and I came across One Fall Power Factory. So I sent over a message to QT Marshall, and I ended up meeting with him and went down to his facility. At this time, it was still in Buford, right before they moved to Norcross, and absolutely was just blown away by the way that QT spoke about wrestling and the way that, he presented it. And I was like, wow, like it was a completely new thing to me. Just the level of knowledge that he has is just, I just don't understand. Like, I'm still learning so much from him every day. So, but that's literally what happened was I just kept looking and started going around from school to school and visiting them and seeing what was right for me. And that it just so happened that One Fall was for me.
And how long from the start of your search did it take you to find One Fall?
Just shy under 2 years, I would say.
So what was it like? Obviously, you started in a smaller school where you have that, and then you, like you said, obviously going to One Fall, it was a totally different experience. What was that first day like at One Fall?
The first day at One Fall, it was basically one of those things. It was, forget what you've already learned. this is what you need to be doing. So it was pretty much like starting over, because what I thought I knew, I didn't really know what I was doing still. So, because, once you start learning to wrestle on a much higher level, the game completely changes. And you start having to learn to work with different crowds and different styles and more experienced people. And that's one of the best things about the school, is the fact that, like, they do not neglect bringing knowledge to the school. I mean, just in the past super camps and seminars, I've gotten to work with some of the absolute best in the business. The very first camp that I was involved in was QT Marshall, Punishment Martinez, Delirious and Glacier, and Danny Cage were the coaches.
Oh, wow.
And it was just just a mind-blowing experience. So going from a small school that kind of just, could get you to run the ropes and stuff like that and give you the basics, to something where, guys have been somewhere, they have the knowledge of where you want to go and give you what you need to get there, is just, it was a completely different experience.
That's awesome. And had you had your debut prior to going to One Fall?
Yeah, I had. I was wrestling under my real name, Andrew Duckworth, for a while, and I was doing that all the way up until around December, when you guys contacted me the first time, and that's when I decided to go through the gimmick change, so to speak. I decided to develop this new character, which is definitely like a more serious version of myself. It's a very more close to home kind of character. It's definitely me taking myself a little more serious in wrestling as far as like my heel work. So, pretty much, man, that's pretty much that in a nutshell on that one.
Now, what would you say that first match you had, obviously not yet at One Fall, what was going through your mind when you're about to make that debut?
Oh, man, I was so nervous. To be honest, I really don't remember much about the match. I was so nervous. I didn't know I was actually making a debut. It was a 3-way tag match for the tag team title.
Oh, wow.
And a guy didn't show up, and they were like, well, he's almost ready. We'll use him. So I got put out there, and I was with some guys that kind of led me through the match. But, man, I was so nervous. And by the time I got back through there, I was like, I just got to do this again.
Yeah, that's what they say. You get that first one out of the way. They also say, make sure you always have your gear, because something like this is probably going to happen to you down the road. Kind of a interesting situation to be in your debut. But what about once you've gone to One Fall and had your first match after being there for a while? How were you feeling after that? Probably, I'm assuming, a lot more confident based on the level of training and knowledge you were receiving.
Definitely. It's a completely different experience, because now I don't feel like I'm trying to wrestle. I'm trying to entertain and perform, and really tell those stories and really try to connect with the crowd and get them on their feet, and really create some excitement and some buzz they can talk about on the way home.
Now, if you had anything you could say to yourself when you were first starting out now, what would it be? Some advice you would give to yourself?
Well, if I could go back and tell myself something again, it would have been to seek out and go ahead and make that initial investment in a great school. To not worry about the money, to really invest in yourself, because it definitely pays off.
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot before. We've had the opportunity to interview the head trainer from 607 Strong Academy, and just talking with guys. There's a lot of people out there that think they know what they're doing and will just take your money. And people have to really educate themselves on the schools that are out there and make sure that they're getting themselves involved with the right people. And you had a long journey, but it's good that you didn't just, eventually just stick with one school because it was taking you so long to find the place you wanted to be. You really stuck with it.
Definitely, man. And I tell guys all the time, because I've met some guys that, like you said, they think they know what they're doing. And but there's been so many that I've talked to. There's a guy that I talked to recently. I won't mention any names, but I was talking with him, and he said had been wrestling almost 10 years and had never attended a single seminar. And I was like, man, you've got to get to a seminar. Like, they're not just taking your money. These guys actually want to give their knowledge and advice and better professional wrestling as a whole.
Yeah, it's true. I was fortunate enough working, on the Twitch stream for Excite. They did have Kevin Kelly come in for a seminar, and it was one of the most interesting things I ever learned. And I would never thought, as just a fan of wrestling, that I would have the opportunity to get to sit in on something like that. So definitely, it's cool. And yeah, I got to say that people that get the chance to do something like that, from what I see, there's a lot of great minds out there, and you really got to try to pick as many as you can and learn as much as you can, because you're never going to stop.
Yeah, we've got Kevin Kelly coming down in August. August 24th and 25th. I got to put this out here real quick. We have the American Dream Scholarship coming to One Fall Power Factory. And, I mean, this thing's going to be huge. I mean, the 3 coaches that are actually going to be there for both days are Les Thatcher, Dr. Tom Pritchett, and Kevin Kelly. And, they're actually we're going to be doing all their drills, everything they want us to do, from promos, the full works. But pretty much, they're going to be picking 2 males and 2 females to compete on the One Fall show, and the winners will receive a scholarship, the American Dream Scholarship, and it will be presented by Cody and Brandy Rhodes. Awesome. And whoever receives that, they're going to get a year's supply of diamond-sized protein, a monetary award, a plaque, and of course the bragging rights for winning the first ever scholarship. So that's really what I'm kind of gearing up for now. I'm really putting in the work and training, because I really want to lock that down.
Yeah, best of luck to you, man. I hope you take full advantage of that, and I hope you win. The Gimmick Table is 100% behind you.
Awesome, man. Thanks.
Now, we've kind of talked on this earlier with the variety of styles in wrestling and with how much there is to learn that we've kind of touched on. What is your game plan to kind of hone your in-ring craft and your actual physical abilities?
Well, since the school's moved to Norcross, we actually moved into Chip Smith Performance Center. And anybody that doesn't know who Chip Smith is, just Google the guy. He has put in, I can't tell you how many professional athletes this guy has trained. And he hasn't given himself the name, but the industry has, that he is the godfather of sports performance. And that is 100% true. The way that they work with their athletes to prepare you to be the best you can is just, there's nothing like it anywhere. The facility we're in now, I could honestly say I don't think there's anything better than it except for the WWE Performance Center. I mean, it's truly a top-notch performance center, and with us being there, that's really given us the edge to be the best we can. And between that and then being able to work with, Ray and QT, we're really able to hone that craft. And like me personally, I'm able to do a lot of the new school style stuff. And like I said earlier, but I still have that traditional foundation. I still like to work that brawler style that I personally like with my new heel persona, but definitely able to work in that new school style and, have those strike exchange and throw some dives in there if I need to.
That's awesome, because it's good. I like seeing somebody who can really work a story but can incorporate, some of that, the strikes and things that we see, that realism that it almost brings to it.
I couldn't agree more, man. When you get that realism put in there with that just old school entertainment style, I mean, it's something special. It really is.
The things that you guys have the ability to do nowadays, it's beyond remarkable. And it's really, like we talked about earlier, wrestling is booming, and guys are out there trying to make a name, build their brand, and they're willing to go out there and try new things. And as a fan, it just makes things better for us.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more, man. Like, now you really got to be on top of your game pretty much all the way around, because everybody's got a platform to brand themselves on. So there's just so much that you have to put into it. Like, I mean, you have to be an athlete. You have to be able to talk, and then you have to be able to, use social media and stuff like that to put yourself out there. It's not, you can't just be good at one thing anymore. I mean, you really got to bring the works to be able to compete with so many great guys that are out there now.
Exactly. And at the same note, I mean, guys have proven that it can be done. Outside of the WWE and the mainstream, there are guys that are making a good living without having to ever, step foot in the WWE, which is great. It shows that the fans love it, that they will go out and they will find it, and that they're willing to support the things that they love.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man.
Now, on the other side of wrestling, you obviously got to develop the in-ring, but the other thing is the gimmick. It's probably the hardest part, delivering the promo. What opportunities have you had to kind of build on your promo skills overall and that overall gimmick?
The same camp, the very first one that I attended, the one that had, everybody I mentioned earlier in it. One of the surprises, because they always do this, man. They don't announce everybody. Once you're there, all of a sudden there's a surprise guest. And we actually had the privilege of working with an actor by the name of Robert Paulbro. And he's been in numerous films, again, IMDb and man. But he also brought a friend with him named Keith Brooks, who actually appeared on The Walking Dead. And they actually came in and did a full-on, basically an improv class to help you deliver your promos better. It had us do it with different emotions, but still delivering the same lines. But, making yourself, more vulnerable or more angry. And, I mean, it was just a full-on workshop with them on how to, put your character out there and put it over however you need it to be. I mean, it was just an unbelievable experience to work with those guys.
That sounds great, because I mean, a lot of that is, like, quote unquote acting in the ring to, elicit crowd response. And a lot of people don't understand there's a whole science behind that. And there's people that know how to teach that and teach you how to get what you need out of the crowd using your own abilities.
Yeah, you don't really see that a lot. Any kind of seminars and stuff like that, it's very rare that guys, take that extra route to go and find like an acting class or something, or take it, or an improv class to have that in their arsenal. And I couldn't recommend that enough. I mean, character acting is just that. It's character acting, and learning to be a character will take you pretty far, in my opinion.
Now, do you think maybe that's why they don't do that? Is it kind of adds to that whole wrestling is fake thing because it's acting?
I can see that. I can see that kind of being like a taboo. But I think, especially the way the business is going now, I really do think people are going to start warming up to the idea and realizing that's definitely a tool that we have access to. That why not put that tool in your bag and have it?
Right, yeah. I mean, I don't agree with that at all. I think it's definitely absolutely necessary for you to progress the sport, is everybody needs to take acting classes and learn how to get that crowd response, because that's what makes those shows so great.
I agree. I couldn't agree more right there, man. I mean, if you can evoke a response just, through your body language or however you're do it, like we talked about earlier, when you had the Macho Man, how animated he was, it just drew you in. And I mean, however you need to do that, like one of my favorites to actually watch and kind of take from is Jake the Snake Roberts, the way that he can talk so monotone and quiet, and you just kind of lean into the screen and you're just like, wow, this guy's serious. It's just, there's different ways to do it, and taking those acting classes really open you up and give you the opportunity to do that.
It'll separate you and make you the cream of the crop and rise to the top.
That's right, man.
Ooh, yeah. But also kind of, it fits the puzzle. It's like kind of what we talked about, the different styles out there of wrestling. You kind of got to pick everybody's brain. Well, there's a lot of guys out there who, yes, are very good at promo work, but, they can teach you a piece. But why wouldn't you go to the source where this is kind of originated from, that whole idea of acting and creating a persona?
Definitely. For a while there, I was getting kind of worried that that's becoming a lost art. You don't really see that. Like a lot of guys, they're kind of one-dimensional. Even though it's them, it's real. But then again, it's not larger than life. And I feel like in professional wrestling, that's kind of what you need to be.
You need to. A lot of people do say, their gimmick is it's themselves, just kind of with the volume turned up. But
I've heard that a lot. Like, just turn it up to 11, man.
But you have to also remember, it's not. You got to be able to also connect to the people as well. You have to be big enough to where almost the gimmick surpasses you, and it connects to the fans.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you nailed it with larger than life. Like, if you're not Brock Lesnar, if you're not actually larger than life, you have to be larger than life somehow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look at Lesnar. Like you said, Brock Lesnar's Brock Lesnar for a reason. There's how many UFC fighters, but there's only one Brock Lesnar.
Exactly. You might not have an undefeated record in the UFC. I'm still not stepping in there with him.
I'm still gonna watch it.
Oh, I'm gonna watch it for sure, but yeah, I'm not getting in there.
I don't think a lot of people realized how unhealthy he was in regards to the ailments he had going on when he was trying to compete in the UFC the first time around.
I remember reading up on a lot of that. I mean, he had a lot going on in him. He was still one bad dude, man.
Yeah, and I mean, there's part of it was he thought he could just step in there and do it, and he realized he couldn't. And now he wants to go back and prove that he could do it. He just needed to actually prepare.
Well, imagine, if he's not at full strength, if he's not fully healthy, if we were only getting, say, a 75% of the full Brock Lesnar experience in the octagon, imagine what he would do at 100%. I would love one day, maybe a year from now, to see John Jones versus Brock Lesnar. That would be a super fight.
I would love to see that as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's still got a Chuck Liddell super punch, one hit, drop him, shot, and yeah.
John Jones?
No, Lesnar.
Yo,
That'd be a good fight.
Lesnar.
John Jones is going to do that?
No, John Jones has a spinning elbow, and that'll get you.
Now, he's somebody. What about this? What about we actually happen to be from John Jones's hometown, and I always wondered if the UFC doesn't pan out for him because of all the stuff that's gone on, whether it's true or not. Knowing his personality a little bit, I think he could probably be a good professional wrestler.
I actually think, as far as John Jones, I'm not sure. I wouldn't mind seeing him definitely experiment with it. But, man, I'm definitely one of those guys I would love to see a special appearance from someone like Conor McGregor.
Yes.
I mean, he's got the best promos in the biz.
I mean, he definitely loves money. And, I mean, let's be honest. You're going to make a lot more money, I think, in the WWE than you are in the UFC.
Definitely. And, I mean, you're not taking as much a toll on your body either to make it.
But from the stories I've heard about, like, him training and sparring, like, he doesn't hold back. Like, he just hits people. He can't not actually, like, beat the shit out of you.
You just got to give him that special ref role or something.
Well, I got to imagine that's got to kind of be hard for him. You know, imagine like somebody like, for instance, you have Ronda Rousey now. I mean, you go from full contact sparring to kind of more of professional wrestling training. You gotta hold those punches back a little bit, and you know, probably not get as mad as you would say, you know, if you're sparring, getting ready for the octagon.
Yeah, I could see it still being exciting, though, if they could get him to dial those back to, like, recreate something like with Strowman, like Strowman versus Conor, kind of how they did with, like, Big Show and Mayweather.
Would definitely be interesting, and it would have a lot more versatility because, you know, Floyd Mayweather's one-dimensional. I mean, he's a great boxer, but McGregor's got more versatility in his toolbox.
He's got a character, man.
He is definitely, he sold him, he talked himself into a fight with Floyd Mayweather, a fight with Jose Aldo, and he backs up everything. He didn't back up the Floyd Mayweather, but he backed up Jose Aldo. I'm going to knock him out in, what, 5 seconds?
Yeah.
First round? And
Just...
But I don't like the fact that, you know, he didn't, I think there should have been a rematch to that.
Well, but I think with any of them, like, you get them in a ring, they do a good match, they have a whole crowd of people cheering for them again. They don't care what ring they're in. That drug is addictive.
Yes.
Agreed. Definitely agreed.
So now we've kind of talked about the in-ring abilities, the gimmick. So who is the Pale Horse Josey Quinn?
The Pale Horse Josey Quinn, it is, I actually got it from a Johnny Cash song. I was listening to a Johnny Cash song at the end. He said, you know, behold the pale horse, and who sat upon him was death. So I was looking kind of at the professional, you know, wrestling landscape, and I was like, well, I think I can definitely make something out of this. So the Pale Horse is basically the cleansing professional wrestling, so to speak. Bringing the end. Basically, here's a whisper of your name, and there's no stopping him. He's coming for you.
Pretty awesome, man. I mean, I don't want to be standing across
I
the
mean,
ring.
I thought you were a family man.
Yeah, what'd you say?
You gotta have that balance, man. You know, tranquility at home, aggression in the ring.
The yin and the yang.
Do you use that to, like, get your kids to clean their room and stuff? I will be set the
just go in
Pale
there,
Horse.
Now, have you hit that moment yet when you realize that this is what you were really meant to do? That you're fully confident in what you're doing, and that you can make a successful career out of this?
Yes. Once I started the Pale Horse character, I definitely feel at home with it. I feel like this is a character that I know. The in-ring style, the character, the promos, everything seems to be lining up very well. I'm very confident in every direction that I'm going right now. So. Now more than ever am I confident.
Now, is this you turned up to 11, or is this like your alter ego?
It's actually just kind of me turned up to 11. I dial back to a lot of my upbringing as a kid. Because, you know, when I was being brought up, I was, like, forced to go to church and stuff like that. So you hear a lot of the stuff about, like, the end times. It's kind of creepy. And that was always what stuck with me. I was just more scared of it than anything. So I just kind of, you know, I dialed into that. I don't bring any religion or stuff like that into it. But I use that almost fear factor into the ring and bring that with me. So being able to express that kind of character is just, I mean, I don't know. It's just, it feels like me. It is real Southern based. It's almost like an outlaw style gimmick. That's something I grew up watching, was old Westerns and stuff like that. So I'm able to dial back to some of those old Clint Eastwood movies and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
It just really, really hits home for me.
You watch Westworld at all?
Oh, yes. I just started watching it. I'm about 4 or 5 episodes in, and, man, I'm loving it.
Yeah. Oh, new season starts soon, too.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to hurry up and get through it. I got the whole thing on my little HBO list. I'm trying to cram it in as much as I can.
Hell yeah.
And with Godless on Netflix, that really drew me in, too.
All right, so I didn't get into that yet, so maybe I'll have to pick that one up.
Yeah, I heard I had to watch that one. I'm a big fan of Westerns. I don't feel there's been a really good Western in a really long time. I think
310 to Yuma was good.
Tombstone.
Last, good thing I remember watching was Hatfield and McCoy's. I was a big fan of that. Kevin Costner was in it.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I think it's on Netflix.
the newer movies don't pay attention to like that Westerns were really about building the suspense with these long, drawn-out scenes where the cameras would go back and forth with one another, and they would almost like wrestling in a way. You know, they would
Exactly.
build suspense.
I don't know if I've ever told you about this movie. It's called Bone Tomahawk. Kurt Russell, and it's about a tribe of cannibals that kidnap some people from a town, and the sheriff and his deputy and a group of people go and walk across the desert to get to the mountains to try and bring these people back. And it's a savage movie, but
Check it out. All right, I love a good Western.
but it is a legit Western. It's just like really gory.
Ooh.
All right, I think
I'm going to be looking that up.
It's a great movie too. Like so suspenseful, and like you were saying with like the cameras, where it's just scenes of them talking, but they're storytelling the whole time they're talking. It's just great.
And Westerns always have the best lines, too. They always have, like, really good lines that just hook you. You're like, wow, I wish I could have said that to someone.
Yeah, the Wild West it probably really was like that. You know,
It was the Wild West.
They were clever. I don't think
They were wild.
Anybody with heels and anti-heroes, no one's really a hero.
they're like, I got to be clever because I'm going to be dead tomorrow.
I believe that's where the term wild card came from.
But I feel like being a professional wrestler probably has a higher, success rate than, trying to be a gunslinger in the Wild West. But you've had some success. In fact, you've been named the, that was the best segue I've ever done. You were named the Georgia Wrestling History 2017 Rookie of the Year. What was that like?
Man, I was ecstatic when I got that because that was a great group of guys I've been able to work with, that full year. And to actually get the call and then tell me that I'd actually won it, man, I was just ecstatic. I was like, it was just one of those things as a testament to all the hard work you've been putting in for that whole past year. And then, it finally culminates into a moment like that. And you're just like, okay, cool. I'm doing stuff right. This is working.
Definitely. And you haven't slowed down in 2018. I mean, you've had the opportunity to compete for Future of Honor through Ring of Honor. How did that opportunity come to be?
That opportunity came from one fall. We had some super camps, and we've had a lot of the Ring of Honor guys come in. We've had like Delirious, Jay Lethal. I mentioned Punishment earlier. Christopher Daniels has been in. So all those guys were able to come in and be around us and see us work and stuff like that. And that's a couple of us actually got to ride up and get the opportunity to go up there from Cheeseburger, actually. So that whole thing just kind of came from the super camps.
That's awesome, man. And it shows that, that hard work is paying off, that people look at you and they think that, hey, this guy would be a good fit for, Future of Honor. And obviously, then you also get the opportunity this year to work for NXT as well. What was that like, getting the opportunity to just work with, the NXT and the WWE just even for a moment?
To be honest, it's a completely different animal. I was so nervous going there, but once you get there, it's so professional. There's so many people doing their job to the point that they know what they're doing. So when you get there, it's such a comfortable environment because everybody there has the information you need. The rehearsals they go through, everything they do is just absolutely top notch. So you go in feeling really nervous, and then when you get there, you're like, wow, I feel like I belong here. It was just an absolutely humbling experience, man. And again, like to get an opportunity like that, I must be doing something right. It was just a testament to it.
Right, that's crazy. It's like you went from like the mailroom to corporate for a second, and it's like you get a taste of that, and you're like, I want to be up on this top floor trading with these big dogs.
Exactly. Like I'm more hungry now than I ever was before.
That's awesome.
I want to get there and stay now,
Exactly. And like you said, you got that taste, and you've had the opportunity to create some awesome moments already in wrestling. But with anything worth having, there's always going to be difficulties. What keeps you going? What keeps you getting to training, taking the long road trips to shows, working a full-time job on top of all that, having to be a family man as well? What keeps you going?
To be honest, it is just the passion for professional wrestling, knowing this is what I want to do, and knowing like to be able to get up and actually go and work at that level, to be able to perform at that level and actually create, or have the opportunity, I should say, to create moments that people will remember forever. I want to be able to look back at that and be like, all right, all these years of work, and there it is. People can go back and look at my work for years and years to come, and that's what keeps me going. I don't want to slow down until I'm able to make that kind of statement in the professional wrestling world. And Man, I think there's a lot of drive. A lot of guys share that passion and drive, and I think that's what keeps a lot of guys going. Because you get out there and, like you said, man, you get that small taste, and it is exactly what you thought it was going to be. And once you get it, man, you got to have it. You want to harness it and keep it. So that's really what keeps me going, man. Is just I want to get there again, and this time get there and stay.
That's awesome, man. And I think one of the best quotes I've ever heard about it is, "You have to love wrestling when wrestling doesn't love you." And I think
absolutely.
I think a lot of guys we've gotten the opportunity to talk to, they understand that, and they know that, with anything you do, it's going to be harder most times than it is easy. But if it's worth having, it's going to be hard. Something that comes easy isn't going to be worth it to you at the end of the day.
Yeah, one of my absolute favorite quotes is actually Diamond Dallas Page, work ethic equals dream. And that's actually what's on the inside of his Hall of Fame ring. So, I mean, that's a quote that I like to keep with me at all times.
And he's a testament right there. I mean, he started older than a lot of people do, and he still was able to make a successful career, and he's a WWE Hall of Famer, world champion, and I mean, one of the most memorable wrestlers that I can think of.
Yeah, and his work ethic's still going with the DDP yoga, man. I mean, he's still just whatever he sets his mind to, it's become successful.
Wait, what? What?
You never heard of DDP yoga?
No.
First of all, I was on Shark Tank, so I'm disappointed in you.
I don't religiously watch Shark Tank. I don't know why.
Everybody should religiously watch Shark Tank.
Yeah, actually, I'm a huge fan of Shark Tank.
I like the show. It's just a filler show for me, like, if nothing else is on.
But no,
yeah, you just turn on and you kill some time watching that.
Exactly.
First of all,
great ideas.
I told you I have DDP yoga, so it will kick your butt.
What?
Yeah, DDP yoga is for real, man. Like when I got hurt back in December, and I had some issues with my knee. It ended up just being a bad bruised kneecap on the backside. It just caused a lot of inflammation. But that was one of the first things I went to was the DDP yoga, and it really fast-tracked me right back to where I needed to be. And I'd always heard about DDP yoga, but again, we actually had a camp at the school, and they actually, one of the big surprise guests they had was a representative from DDP yoga that came in and walked us through it and all this stuff. And you'd be surprised at, how fast your heart rate gets up doing that stuff, man. You're doing a little bit of motion here and there, but overall, it's good stuff.
Is it? It's not. So it's not like P90X.
No, it's more. It's yoga.
No.
It's actual yoga. And the great thing also, too, about it is because if you tell somebody you do yoga, they kind of look at you weird. But then you go, no, DDP yoga, and they go, oh, okay.
Well, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Yoga. Everybody does yoga now, so.
It's 2018.
Yeah.
Everybody does yoga.
It's 2018. There's yoga for everybody.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, kind of building on the success you've even seen this year, what are some of your goals you would like to reach by the end of this year?
The goals by the end of this year, I'm really shooting for it, man. It's the same as every guy. I would like to, be a contracted professional wrestler. I'd like to be, under contract, man, and performing regularly as a television wrestler.
You're on track.
Yeah, I mean, you've shown with the opportunities you've already taken advantage of, that you have a great shot of doing what you want to, and you can look at your son now and be like, hey. You asked me why I didn't live my dream. Now I am. And
exactly, and I think that's my other goal. I would have to say the American Dream Scholarship, man. I really got my sights set on that thing right there, man.
Yeah, it's a good immediate goal there.
That is awesome. You take somebody like Cody Rhodes, and we've had the opportunity to talk to people who have talked about how just genuinely awesome he is, and
great guy to work with, man. I had the opportunity to work with him at Ring of Honor. I actually appeared on Ring of Honor as a butler for Cody Rhodes, and he was just an amazing person to work with. Him and Brandy both. Just a great guy all the way around.
Being butler, best job you ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's looking for an actual butler, I will quit my job and take a pay cut. That's perfectly fine, but no, honestly,
live in the pool house.
You could tell that he's one of the guys that truly cares not only about wrestling but about the future of wrestling and once he's gone, what is going to be left and the impact that he can leave.
Definitely.
Well, like I said earlier, we hope you nail that scholarship right on the head. How can our fans get a hold of you on social media, keep up to date what's going on in your world?
Yeah, you can get me on a lot of my stuff's on Instagram and Twitter. Both of those are at Pale Horse Quinn. And yeah, yeah, I'm constantly posting flyers and any kind of information. I always share seminars and stuff that are coming up to help guys that are seeking out that kind of knowledge. And we've got a ton of stuff coming up down at One Fall Power Factory that's coming up really soon. We've got X-Bot coming in. He'll be down March 17th. You can be working with him. We've got Abyss coming in on the 31st of March. I think we've got Billy Gunn coming in May. He'll be doing some seminars and stuff working with us. So, I mean, yeah, so anybody wants to take advantage of that, I highly recommend working with any of those guys.
Right, that's a good place to start if you haven't put your foot in the pool yet.
Yeah, exactly.
And besides following you on social media, when can we see you in the ring again?
Well, actually, man, I'm got a lot of big dates coming up. The 10th, I will be in Bessemer, Alabama. It's a show that's relaunching, so to speak. It's called Wrestle Birmingham, and I'll be on that show. I'm wrestling a guy named Torque. We and him blocked up a few times. Good little rivalry between me and him. Also, I think James Storm's going to be on there with a natural Chase Stevens. You can catch me at One Fall on the 16th in Cleveland, Tennessee. I'll be at Georgia Premiere on the 17th in Canton, Georgia. And then again on the 30th, I'll be at One Fall in Cleveland, Tennessee again. And then on the 31st, I'll be in Canton, Georgia with Georgia Premiere again.
Well, you definitely got a busy 2018 already to start, but that's good. And make sure, like I told you earlier, anything you want to feel free to tag us in will definitely help you get the word out there. And now it's that time of the show where I hand it over to my co-host, and we unhinge the gimmick table. He has a few odder than normal questions for you here at this time. So,
I went way deeper this. No, not really. But it's a little bit different. A little different format this time. I'm making it a little more like a sandbox.
I'm gonna take my heart medication before we start.
Why do you have heart medication?
Because you're my co-host.
Well, I mean. That's cool. I don't understand why you get so stressed out. It's a pretty laid back, casual show. We're just a couple people having a good time, right?
Definitely.
So I figured since you had such an inspiring story about your son really giving you the motivation to become the professional wrestler that you are, why not go over some father and son movies, and I'll make it a little open to interpretation. You just let me know which wrestler would be which character from that movie.
All right, let's do it, man. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, no, I'll start off with the easy one. Finding Nemo. That's a touching father and son story.
Let's see. Wow, that's a good one, man. Who would I cast as Marlin? Let's see. Man, it's going to be tougher than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that wasn't the easiest one. Well, I mean, you could cast someone as Nemo. You could cast someone as Dory. You could cast someone as Bruce.
Ah, there we go. Let's go ahead. We'll throw... we'll go ahead and book Brock Lesnar as Bruce.
Yeah, no, that'd be... Actually... If there was a live-action movie, he could be Bruce.
Yeah, you have to go back to those times. Like, Brock Lesnar was appealing a little more to people. He wasn't so intimidating back when he was doing the stuff with Kurt Angle. The push-up competitions and stuff like that. I have to dial him back to that.
See, I'm envisioning a Finding Nemo reboot, but it's live-action, like, in the streets of New York, and the dude's son gets kidnapped, and he's got to go like battle through gang territory and stuff, and Dory's just this like crackhead that's trying to lead him to his son.
So you mean
I just came up with that just now.
You mean Taken?
Well, kind of.
Taken.
A little more like what is it? Running Man? Is that the one with Paul Walker? Running Scared. That's it. Ooh, that's a good one. You ever seen that? That movie's got twists and turns like none other. Paul Walker, rest in peace.
I never thought Paul Walker was coming up on the podcast.
I don't know how we got the ball.
I didn't think I'd be talking about the Junkyard Dog having to wear a T-shirt either.
Yeah. So, all right.
I've been saving that one.
That was definitely a highlight for me. I was like, wow, he had him a T-shirt. That's like the best answer for anything right there.
All right, next on the list here. That's a little too. We're not going with that. Big Daddy.
All right.
Big Daddy.
Great movie.
Wow.
What's your name? I'll write it on the wall for you.
Let's see. I picture Paul Heyman and Curtis Axel. I would put them together again.
Wait, which one is which though?
Well, of course, you'd have to have Paul as Adam Sandler.
All right.
And then and have Curtis Axel playing the kid because Kurt Hennig, unfortunately, but then you have Paul Heyman kind of taking over the role there.
I think WWE Hollywood needs to get in touch with us because we've got a couple of movies brewing here.
It's time to remake them,
right? Here's a great father and son tale. The Shining.
The Shining. I would like to see Jack Nicholson be replaced by Jake the Snake Roberts. You can see him like busting through there and just being like, Diary of a Madman, just busting through there, man. I like to see that. I'm gonna make you big.
And he busts through the door. Here's Jakey. And he's got the snake just shoved up in there.
Hack down the door with Damien and everything.
Who needs an axe? I got a snake.
I got a snake. I'll just slip it under the door.
All right. Another heartwarming father-son tale that doesn't end in tragedy. The Godfather.
I mean, Vince McMahon, hands down.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's the Godfather.
Yeah, that's an easy one, man. You got to go ahead and cast him in there.
All right, a little bit of twist. Jumanji. It's the
The Rock already got the role.
Well, no, the original Jumanji here. We can't give this because the new one has nothing to do with father-son.
I can't take the easy way out. Huh?
Yeah. I knew you were gonna do that too. I was ready for it.
Yeah. To replace, oh man.
Who replaced Robin Williams?
That's a good one too. Jumanji, because you got to take a childlike character and then I don't know.
I'm going
and then blow him up to be like Robin Williams. So who would you go with?
Heath Slater.
Give me some direction.
Mankind.
Mankind?
Oh, Mankind. That was great.
He is great. Robin Williams replacement. A little darker, but he could hold that down for a little bit.
He had a sock puppet as a gimmick, man. It could work.
I mean, Al Snow for a minute, but yeah, that will get old.
He'd just be running around with a mannequin head the whole time.
Right, he's like one of Robin Williams' alter egos.
You can't fight a lion with a mannequin head, Al.
Speaking of lions, how about The Lion King?
The Lion King. I mean, I think we could totally get away with like the Undertaker-Kane storyline there. Yeah. They were just odd as it was.
Kane, well, Undertaker's more heel than Kane, if you're going there. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. He was tortured then. He didn't want to hit him, man. Kane just beat the hell out of him, and then Taker wouldn't do anything.
Here's what I'm thinking. Dusty Rhodes and Cody Rhodes.
Ooh,
yeah, that was a good one.
I think there we go.
Yeah, that's it.
And then who's Simba?
Well, Simba's... Oh, my God, dude.
Oh, all right. I see what you're going. Well, I was thinking Scar Mufasa.
Brandy as Nala, too, so, I mean, it's ready to go.
Yeah, well, who's Scar... Who's, where's the storyline going here?
Up until Cody Rhodes winning the world title. I mean, what, it had been 32 years since a Rhodes had held the world championship? Something like that. I mean, that's kind of a good storyline right there.
That doesn't go with The Lion King.
I mean...
Well, it's already tailor-made there again. Like Scar, you got Kenny Omega. He'll just have to take more of that heel role now.
All right, there you go. Now you've added some depth to this story.
All right, whatever.
Yeah, Lion King just got rebooted big time.
Matt, I don't know about you, but wouldn't you love to hear Kenny Omega sing that Be Prepared song that Scar does? Yeah. That would be pretty dirty.
In Japanese.
Yeah, okay.
All right,
and then we'll finish it up with the most actual heartwarming, touching father and son movie, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. No, Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams? I haven't seen that in a long, long time, though.
Who is the wrestler that can make you cry? Bring a tear to your eye.
Eugene, man, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Eugene was amazing.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he was.
All right, well, we'll end this on a somber note.
All right. That was a very good job. I'm very impressed with you today, Bats. You did a great job. That is awesome. I don't think Rob can insult you this week on Twitter.
Has he been doing that?
You don't pay attention to Twitter.
I've been responding to them, but I don't take them as insults.
We got to teach you how to read things correctly then.
Well, I guess that, the lack of sarcasm on the internet.
Yeah, that's
Can't
the
tell.
one. There's no sarcasm on the internet. It doesn't work. But Josey, thank you for joining us today. This has been one of the funnest interviews that we've had, and we really appreciate everything that you shared with us today. And again, like we said, anything you need out there, retweet it, anything like that, we're more than happy to help support you any way that we can.
Thanks, guys, man. And same here. I'll be making sure I'm following your shows, man. I really enjoy them.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
We hope to see you on some more NXT.
That means so much to us. Yeah.
Hey, man. Same here.
Best of luck. Well, if we're on it, I don't know how we'd get on NXT. I mean, that'd be scary.
You come on as an analyst. They're doing those like bring it to the table now.
Oh yeah, we could do that.
Yeah,
that's the future.
Sam Roberts is on there. You guys are right there behind him.
Oh man.
Oh, okay.
He might have had a lot of.
If you say so.
All right. Yep. You would know better than us. Kelsey. As we like to call it, he sits here while I talk to myself in a microphone.
Yep. And I just make fun of stuff you say. It's great.
Pretty much. But thank you again. This was a great time, and again, anything we can do to help.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, everybody. That does it for us today, and we appreciate you guys taking time out of your day, joining us here at the Gimmick Table, and a big thank you to our guest, the Pale Horse, Josey Quinn. This was a lot of fun today, Bats, and again, I'm impressed with what you came up with for the Unhinged, so kudos to you, sir. You get a gold
I
star.
impress myself sometimes, you know.
You do. And if you guys were also impressed by Bats, make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasting fix from. And you can also interact with us on social media. You can find us on Twitter at @gimmick_table, Facebook as well. Just search the Gimmick Table Wrestling Podcast, and all our interviews are at gimmicktablepod.com. You can also check out another thing about Bats that impresses me, his wonderful cover art. And from time to time we run some contests. We will be announcing the winner of our $30 gift card to Pro Wrestling Tees here in the upcoming weeks, so make sure you pay attention to that so you can see if you won. You didn't win though, Bats, I'm sorry.
I don't ever win anything.
You never win.
I won one match on Fortnite.
One match?
Well, one solo. I've won a couple duos, a couple squads, but one solo match. I posted the video on my Twitter if anybody wants to watch it.
Be his friend too. I'm not going to try to sit here and pronounce his ridiculous Twitter handle. But I will tell you about some of our friends. You can support our friends at the Podcasting World Order. Bats, you might not be friends with them much longer because when you tried to proclaim that you were the leader of the deep state, Rob had a message for you. He says, Bats just doesn't understand his place in the world. Sometimes you have to hit people over the head with knowledge, make them pay attention. So, you know, your tinfoil hat, man, you got to take it off and stop believing this crazy shit that you believe about deep states and stuff like that, and just listen to our friends at the Podcasting World Order. We got WNA Podcast, Retch Wrestling, Smart Spot Podcast, Boar Meets World. I don't know if they're up and operational. They barely talk to us on Twitter. And the Broadcast all the way down from Australia. But, man, you got to get out of that deep state.
Yeah, here's a message to you, Rob. I don't even know who the fuck you are. I don't care.
All right, with that said, that's a great way to end the show. So thank you for spending time with us. Sorry my co-host is partially insane. We'll be back next week. Be safe.
See ya.